went Rockies with some friends. We were all roped together high on a glacier, blizzard raging around us, our ice axes at the ready to plunge into the ground in case one of us were to fall into a mess. It was an awesome week, not just because of the adventure. It had to do with what happened in my mind. In mountaineering, all your attention is riveted to the icy trail right in front of you. You end up with a kind of focus that feels amazing. By contrast, when our minds are split in a million directions, the experience isn't nearly as enjoyable. Maybe you've experienced something like this playing sports or music, or even getting into it. It's like the outside world recedes, and your whole body starts to merge with the action. Many people say these are some of the best experiences of their life. Well, it turns out this kind of concentration can be learned. It has to do with how much of our attention we bring to the activity. So let's continue our exploration of how to get into flow. Find a comfortable position, eyes closed or open, softly gazing at the ground in front of you. A few deep breaths here at the start, so stretching up on the inhale, and then a nice, long, relaxing exhale. As you breathe out, you can deliberately soften the forehead and the cheeks and the jaw, softening the shoulders, even the hands and the belly. So let's check in with our equanimity muscle tone here at the start. Can you find a kind of relaxed, easygoing attitude in how you sit? So not uptight about sounds, not trying to block them or suppress anything. From this place, we start to focus on our home base. Maybe the breath, maybe some point in the body, maybe sounds. When your mind wanders, you gently bring it back. Good. See if you can let yourself get totally absorbed by the thing you're paying attention to. It's like you're paying attention with your whole body. Not too tight, not too loose. The right balance for you. When we find the right balance, it helps us create a nice current we can kind of flow along and into. Okay, for fun, try to get right up close to what you're paying attention to. So instead of looking at a sensation from your head, it's like you're feeling it from the inside, like you're right up against it. Can you get that intimate? You can try the same thing with sound. Send your attention out so it's like all of you is there inside the sound. Play around with this. We're exploring the art of paying attention. It's normal to still be aware of distractions and thoughts. Just let those be there in the background, while in the foreground, you stay committed to your home base. Just over a minute left. Really go for it here. How fully immersed in your home base can you get? Okay, great. And now just relax. Let go of your home base and coast. The philosopher Alan Watts said, "The real secret of life is to be completely engaged with what you're doing in the here and now. Instead of calling it work, realize it's play. It's play because it feels good to commit our full attention to one thing at a time. This is actually one of the secrets to human happiness. So the next time you go for a hike, say, try not to think about your problems the whole time, but instead deliberately bring all your body's attention to the sounds and sights of nature. Same thing when you talk with a friend or engage in work. This builds our concentration muscle and is basically the secret to getting in flow. Okay, excellent practice. Go ahead and open your eyes and rejoin your surroundings. Next session, we go into the still point. See you tomorrow.
All right, so I realized that was the same one we did yesterday, and I don't know why it did the same one, but I really liked that one yesterday. So We did it again today. There it was. Okay, so happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm excited to have you here today because tomorrow is our big day. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so we're going to be at the campus doing our mock interviews. So I just kind of want to make sure everybody's cool with that, that everybody knows how it's going to go and that you're feeling all right about it or feeling really good. Yeah, it's worth 85 points. Let's just kind of look and see the rubric of what you're going to be rated on so that you can prepare. All right, so mock interview. It's under mock interview. I got to change the dates. All right. All right, so here we are under mock interview. There's 2 items that I put on here. So one is it's an interview checklist that the interviewer will use to rate your interview. And then there's a self-evaluation that you'll complete after the interview. So after the interviewer asks you the 12 questions, then they will go through and they will rate you on this sheet, and you'll do your self-evaluation at the same time. So you're not just like sitting there like, So let's look and see the rating sheet. Okay, and I'll have copies of this at each table. All right, so interviewee, that'll be you when you do your interview, when you're being interviewed, you're called the interviewee, and then the interviewer is whoever is pretending they work at that company and they're the boss. All right, so the first section that you're gonna be rated on, so these go from poor to excellent, is appearance, because that's the first thing people see, right? So grooming appropriately. So does it look like you maybe spend a little more time with yourself that day? Your hair is looking good. If you're a male, maybe shaved, you know, maybe your nails are done, whatever, like you look groomed and like you put some effort into yourself. Dressed appropriately. So here's where we want to dress up like we would in a job interview. Wear something conservative, wear something that looks professional. And then whatever you have, because I know not everybody like has interview clothes sitting around, whatever you have on, if it could be neat and clean and non-distracting, that would be terrific. Then our next section is poise and presentation. So this is all that stuff like your non-verbal communication, right? So it's your posture, you know, so be paying attention to how you're sitting. Make sure you're not like slouching or looking bored or looking away. You know, you want to be sitting upright. You want to, I always kind of take my shoulders and try to get them out of my ears. So you kind of bring your shoulders down, which helps you sit up straight. So you have a nice open posture. You know, your chest is kind of open. You're going to want to make good eye contact with them. You know, that doesn't mean you're staring at them the whole time, but you know, you can hold their eyes, hold their glance while you're communicating, and then kind of, you know, maybe look down, look around every once in a while, but that you're engaging with them. You're holding some eye contact. Facial expressions. I mean, I know everybody, okay, so let's just get that out there. Everybody, most people don't like to interview. It's something that causes us some stress. So one way to kind of get through that, well, the best way is to really prepare. The more you prepare, the more confident you'll be. The more confident you are, the less stressed you're going to be. But with your facial expression, like try to smile, try to seem happy to be there. You know, when you smile, like force yourself to smile, it actually does activate something in your brain that makes you happier. Like your brain doesn't know if you're really happy or you're just faking it. So fake it till you make it. Try to smile. And self-confidence. All those things will make you seem more self-confident. Ability to express yourself. So we're going to want to use proper English, you know, no slang. We're going to try to not say things like you guys. We're going to try to use proper English. Organization of thoughts. So the more you practice answering these 12 questions, the more organized your thoughts will be. That's why I have you typing out your answers to these questions so you can practice them. All right, then speech rate. So you want to make sure you're not talking too fast, you're not talking too slow, but that you have a nice speech rate. And then the next thing is your speech volume. So, you know, we're going to have 3 interviews going on at a time in this room. So it's not going to be too loud. You guys will be socially distanced and separated, but you want to make sure that that person can hear you, that you're not talking too loud, you're not talking too softly, but just a nice volume. And then your responses to the questions. Do you answer the questions completely, or are you giving like 1 or 2 word answers? So really answer that question. So the question like, what do you know about our company? Or why do you want to work here? Make sure you're giving a thorough response where you really give them a good answer. We want to make sure your responses are appropriate. So when they're like, what are your strengths or weaknesses? You're not just like, I don't know, you know, you need to have something that you've come up with. And then here's where you get points for having some of these items. So if you had your typed interview questions with you, like your answers, the answers to the 12 questions, that's worth 5 points if you have them, okay? So you're gonna wanna make sure you have those with you. And remember, you can come to school like 20 minutes early to print out your stuff. I know not everybody has access to a printer. And then here's also where you get 1 point each for these items. 1 point to have that resume brought with you, 1 point for your references, 1 point for a cover letter, 1 point for a thank you letter, 1 point for a printed job application. So there's another opportunity to get 5 more points there. And then they're going to do an overall rating for you, 1 through 5, you know, just how they felt about your interview. And then that last piece was that you asked well thought out questions. So, you know, question number 12, they're going to ask you, so do you have any questions for us? And you're going to say yes. And you're going to ask 3 questions. So good questions to ask are things like, when will be the next phases of interviewing, or when do you expect to be making your decision? Or things like, what do you think is the ideal candidate for this position? Or anything that has to do with you wanting to know more about the job, something that they did not cover. So you could ask those. You really don't want to ask things about benefits or pay during the interview. You want to wait till they make you an offer, right? And so once they make you an offer, that means they want you to work there. That's when you can start talking about pay, benefits, that kind of thing. Our job during that interview is to get them to want to hire us. So if they do, sometimes how interviews go, they'll want to offer you the position on the spot. So if they do, then this would be a good time then to talk about pay and benefits and all that. All right, so that is the interview feedback sheet. And then the self-evaluation sheet is the one you'll do right after that interview. And then you're just through here. You're going to go through here and evaluate how you did, how you feel like you did on these different things. Did you arrive on time? You're just going to click yes or no. What did you wear? Write it in. Were you friendly with the people you came in contact with? Yes or no. Did you introduce yourself to the interviewer? Hi, I'm Madeline. Nice to meet you. We're not going to shake hands. Normally we shake hands when we meet somebody at an interview, but because of the time of COVID, we're not doing that. Did you state your qualifications? You know, when they ask you question number 1, tell me about yourself. Did you then, during that time, state your qualifications? And then at the end, question 11, why should we hire you? Again, did you hit them with your qualifications? Did you hand them a copy of your resume? Did the interviewer go through that resume? Did they discuss anything from your personal background? Okay, that's a no-no. They're really not supposed to talk about anything from your personal background. Did the employer comment on any of your skills? What was the employer's general impression of your resume? The handshake one we're getting rid of. 12, did the interviewer discuss any special problems you may have, such as handicaps, transportation problems, etc.? Did you look at the interviewer when you spoke to him or her? Did you show good posture and no nervous mannerisms? Did you state your desire for work and interest in the company? So when they asked you, what do you know about our company? Why do you want to work here? Did you really hit that one with some good answers? What was discussed the most during the interview? Was there anything the employer disliked? And what did he or she, I'm going to change that to they, what did they seem particularly interested in? Did the interviewer seem to like you? Did you ask the employer questions? And then remember, you're supposed to ask them 3 questions. You guys could just Google those too. Normally I go over a sheet of those, but we've kind of run out of time. And then what would you do differently at your next interview? Which this is huge because we're in school. This is a learning experience. Interviewing and or just talking about ourselves as a valuable person with skills and characteristics that are valuable, meaningful, and will get us where we want to go is a really huge skill in life that we need to get good at. And I don't expect everybody to be perfect at this. I know people are going to show up and they're only going to have a resume, or they're maybe only going to have a cover letter, or maybe they're not going to have anything, but I'm hoping you're still going to show up and you're going to do this and you're going to learn something from it, and you're going to learn what you would do differently at your next interview. And then this is, as we grow in life, which we're humans, we grow, you guys are young, you will do better next time because you've had this experience. That's what this is about for me, is that you're going to have some growth and you've experienced this, and it's going to help you do better at your next interviews in life. All right, so that's kind of how the interview day is going to go tomorrow. For anybody who wasn't here yesterday, there was the schedule that I showed everybody. If you don't know what time your time is, your time is right here. So make sure you know what time your interview is, and then make sure that if you need to print things out, that you're going to come in 20 to 30 minutes before this time so you can print things out on our nice resume paper. Okay, so there's our 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock group. I'll make this bigger. I can send this out and remind too. Here's our 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock group, our 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock group, our 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock group. And then if anybody needs, if anybody's like working, or because I know we normally don't go to school till 5 o'clock, or if you have conflicts with any of these times, let me know and I can switch people around. So just send me a remind note that you'd like to switch times, or you have a conflict, or if you're working or whatever. All right, so that's the interview. Questions, let me know. Who's got questions? You can just ask right now.
What was the final times for the interview group?
The final one was, you're from 4 to 5.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else need to know what time they are? If you didn't, I know I went over that fast. All right, cool. So everybody gets what we're doing tomorrow. You know what time you're going to do it and all that. All right, I want to cover okay, I'm supposed to remind, since I got everybody, well, I'm going to send something out on that. Okay, I want to tell you about an opportunity real quick for people that are looking for jobs. We partner with a group called Juma. And has anybody ever worked for Juma or heard of Juma before? Anybody? Nobody's worked for Juma. Okay, well, let me tell you about it. So Juma is a nonprofit organization. They hire young people between the ages of 16 and 24 to work at like different stadiums. So T-Mobile, Lumen Field, Husky Stadium. And then they train you They have a big training component, and you either get to work as a barista, a food preparer, concession vendor, or cashier or warehouse worker. They pay $16.69 an hour, and you also get paid for your participation in their workshops and all your training. So it's kind of cool. They do a big piece on like interview skills, career planning, money management, a lot of the same stuff we do. But then they also can connect you if you finish their program. They connect you with Seattle colleges, internship opportunities, and employers. We've had lots of students that go through this program, and most of the time, and you get to pick at the end, like, do you want to go work for Starbucks or Costco? And so a lot of them work at Costco. They've picked Costco that they work at afterwards. So if you're interested in applying for Juma, you can apply online. Here's the link. I'm going to see if I can copy this and put it in the chat right now. Yeah, I'll put this in the chat. Chat. Okay, so I'm putting in the chat their website or how to apply. So it's a simple application, and then they'll contact you for an interview. But I just got this email today, and you know, they were shut down all last year because of COVID, and it sucks because we had like 15 new students that were going to work for them, and then like all the stadiums, everything got shut down, right? So that was a bummer. So they're looking for whole new groups. Let me see if they have any other information that they sent me. Hi, everyone. It says, I hope your spring is going well for you in education. Wanted to let you know we are hiring another cohort very soon. We have had a successful re-entry into T-Mobile Park this year, and as things are suddenly rapidly open, we will need more staff to accommodate. This is also internship season, and we have some really cool opportunities to work with other organizations such as the Wing Luke Museum, as well as Mariners, who are hosting a more advanced internship with job shadowing, mentoring aspects in their front offices. Well, that's cool. We have 3 financial literacy workshops scheduled for this summer with our partners at Seattle Credit Union, and we are also working on some career exploration panels, and also all in addition to the regular programming we're putting on. This will be a great time for young people to get a summer job. If you have any 16 to 24-year-olds who are looking for work over the summer and hopefully through the rest of the year, please pass along this flyer. I'll be scheduling interviews for next week and the first week of June, so we can get them hired and possibly considered for internships if they're interested. Oh, and here's an interest form to send out to youth. Okay, so here's an interest form. So I'll put this form on here too. You just fill it out with your email, first name, last name, phone number. Please indicate how you'd like to be reached. How old are you? Do you participate in any of the following organizations? So you click career link there. If you have a friend or somebody that referred you, you can put it here. You could put that I referred you. And then they ask like an income question. So anyway, I'll put this in the chat too. So anybody interested in summer employment at $16.69 an hour, this could be a cool job, especially since you are practicing interviewing right now. Well, tomorrow you're going to practice interviewing, and then you would interview with Juma next week. So you'd be feeling like, okay, I'm on a roll. I'm like, you know, doing this interview thing. I'm feeling good about this. All right. Okay, any questions?
Is this going to be sent to us in ThinkWave, or should we just look it up on our own as a separate resource? Sorry, I just arrived to class.
Cool. I'm putting it in. I just put it in the chat. And so if you look in the chat, I've got a www.juma.org/apply. So you could just fill out that application right there, or you could.
I see it. I see it. Thank you.
Yeah, they're a great organization, and they're a good place to, you know, get you to your next step. All right. I'm sending somebody a chat message real quick, and then we're gonna watch a video on TED Talk about power posing. So hi. So actually, before I show you this video, I want to tell you a few things about the interview tomorrow. I want to do something real quick, and I'm going to write these down. I'm just going to open a Google Doc real quick. Okay. So I get a big piece of paper here. Okay. I want you guys to think about, so interviewing tomorrow, here's 3 things I just want to kind of bring back to your attention. So it's these are the 3 P's of interviewing that I'm going to talk about real quick. And I usually have a whole big worksheet on this, but I can't find it. So I'm just going to paraphrase this whole thing. Okay, the 3 P's of interviewing. So if you can remember this and kind of follow this, you're going to do great tomorrow. So the first P of interviewing is to prepare. So preparing. So preparation is the word. Okay, under preparation, what that means is know what you have to offer and then know something about that company, okay? So know how, it's like knowing your 60-second commercial. It all comes from tell me about yourself, right? So know what you have to offer, employer, as it relates to the skills they want and the characteristics, those transferable skills. So those are things like, you know, I'm professional, teamwork, I show up on time, I have a good work ethic, all that kind of stuff. So those are like your transferable skills, but also what are your hard skills, all right? So knowing that, that's the first thing. Your second thing is knowing something about that company. I'm gonna put some things, because you're gonna wanna know more than one thing, some things about the company that you chose. Okay. So that's the big part about preparation, knowing what you have to offer and knowing something about that company. Your second P of interviewing is practice. So the more you practice, the more you are going to be feeling confident, right? So you're gonna, that's why I gave you the 12 interview questions ahead of time. These aren't like the first time you guys are gonna see these questions. And these are also questions like throughout your life, every time you interview, maybe they're not gonna ask you these exact same 12 questions, but these are general questions that for sure, a lot of these you will be asked. So let's say you didn't have these 12 questions, you always just want to kind of practice answering general interview questions before that interview. So practice answering typical interview questions. And with that, you know, practice how? Well, video yourself. Answer these questions looking in a mirror. Or with another person. So maybe whoever's at your house. All right. So practice is the second P. And then your presentation is your third P. So your presentation, how do you look? So we want to be, that's why we want to be dressed up. We want to be on time. So dressed up, on time, and ready. So that's the presentation part. So again, those 3 P's are to prepare, to practice, and then your presentation. The last piece on that presentation is that you always send a thank you letter after that job interview. You want to send a thank you letter because that goes along with, that's your last step to seal the deal. You can look professional because you have professional follow-up. All right, so that is your 3rd P. All right, so preparation, practice, and presentation. That's 3 P's to remember for your job interview. I did want to bring your attention to one more thing before I show you this video, and oops, it is, I put on ThinkWave yesterday some videos, and then I also sent you guys those out with Remind. I don't know if anybody looked at those videos, so I'm going to show you one just so you know where they are, and then you could watch them. So it's by Snag a Job. They're on YouTube. They have these videos, and I put them under interview questions because they have videos on there. So right here it says, check out the videos at http the Snag a Job job series. They have videos to answer almost every question you're going to be asked Wednesday. So if you're somebody who still hasn't started answering those job interview questions, you are going to want to look at some of these because this could motivate you. So they've got questions they show you, like how to answer, tell me about yourself, how to answer, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths. So they do these little like 3-minute videos.
Ready to get your job search started, click the button down there and we'll fill your inbox with job opportunities in your area.
So I'm going to find some of these. Let's see.
Good. Dancing. Okay.
I'm just going to put in.
Based on the qualifications for this.
Oops. Wait, what did I just do? Snag a job video. What are your weaknesses? Okay, so no work experience. What are your weaknesses? Here's another one. What are your weaknesses? No experience. What are your strengths? Let's look at this one for what are your strengths?
In this week's job search tip, we're going to be going over interview tips for those of you interviewing for your very first job. We're going to look at the question, what are your strengths, and find out what employers are really asking. That's coming up. Hey guys, I'm Kim with Snag a Job, your #1 source for hourly jobs, and welcome to Job Hunters, our weekly job search advice show, where we give you everything from resume tips to interview advice and everything in between. So we're going to be going over tips on how you should answer questions if you're interviewing for your very first job. It can be really intimidating. We know, we've been there. But if you come prepared by practicing these interview questions, you go in with a confidence knowing that you have what it takes to get hired. All right, so you're in your first job interview and they start asking you questions like, what are your strengths? Now this is a little scary because you've never had a job before and, well, you may not really know what your strengths are. Avoid bringing up this concern with the interviewer and stay away from answers like,
my mom says I have an awesome smile. Does that count? I'm not really sure. This is my first job, so we can find out together. Right. Ooh, one time I ran a 7-minute mile. It was pretty awesome. People cheered, there were streamers.
Also, avoid the most common answer to this question that employers hear.
This is easy. I'm a people person. I'm a hard worker.
So everyone says they're a hard worker, and what you really want to do is pick something about yourself that'll prove to them that you can stand out as an employee. So don't just say you're a people person. Talk about how you resolve conflicts or how you can go up to strangers with no problem and start conversations. Something like this can really set you apart and show that you'll make a great employee.
Well, I really do consider myself a people person. I love assisting people and helping them out whenever I can. I'm even good at going up to strangers and starting a conversation. That's one of the things that really attracted me to this position in the first place. I know just how much you guys value customer service, and I think I can really add something to your team.
So an answer like this will really show the interviewer that you've done your research on what it takes to succeed in that role. It will also prove that you're taking your job search seriously and will make a great fit on their team. Make sure you check out our video right there where we talk about things you can put on your resume if you've never had a job before. So thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, please let us know so we'll know to continue to make videos like this. And if you have any questions about your job search,
okay, so they've got a ton of different videos. So I think if you guys go and look, you'll see like the next one up here. What are your weaknesses? So that's one of the questions I asked you, right? Tell me about yourself. They have a video to help you answer every single one of these. So check these out, use this resource. So while I'm at YouTube, actually the video I want to show you is not at YouTube, it's a TED Talk. Okay, we're going to watch a little video about power posing. So this has to do with nonverbal communication, and I want to show you this. We're not going to have time to watch the whole thing, so other people could finish it on their own, but you'll get the a gist of why I'm showing you this and how it can help you. So let me find it. It's called Power Posing. All right, it's about body language. Here we go.
So I want to start by offering you a free no-tech life hack. And all it requires of you is this, that you change your posture for 2 minutes. But before I give it away, I want to ask you to right now do a little audit of your body and what you're doing with your body. So how many of you are sort of making yourself smaller? Maybe you're hunching, crossing your legs, maybe wrapping your ankles. Sometimes we hold on to our arms like this. Sometimes we spread out. I see you. So I want you to pay attention to what you're doing right now. We're going to come back to that in a few minutes. And I'm hoping that if you sort of learn to tweak this a little bit, it could significantly change the way your life unfolds. So we're really fascinated with body language, and we're particularly interested in other people's body language. You know, we're interested in, like, you know, an awkward interaction, or a smile, or a contemptuous glance, or maybe a very awkward wink, or maybe even something like a handshake.
Here they are arriving at number 10, and look at this lucky policeman gets to shake hands with the President of the United States. Oh, and here comes the Prime Minister of the... No.
So a handshake, or the lack of a handshake, can have us talking for weeks and weeks and weeks, even the BBC and the New York Times. So obviously, when we think about nonverbal behavior or body language, but we call it nonverbals as social scientists, it's language. So we think about communication. When we think about communication, we think about interactions. So what is your body language communicating to me? What's mine communicating to you? And there's a lot of reason to believe that this is a valid way to look at this. So social scientists have spent a lot of time looking at the effects of our body language or other people's body language on judgments. And we make sweeping judgments and inferences from body language. And those judgments can predict really meaningful life outcomes, like who we hire or promote, who we ask out on a date. For example, Nalini Ambady, a researcher at Tufts University, shows that when people watch 30-second soundless clips of real physician-patient interactions, their judgments of the physician's niceness predict whether or not that physician will be sued. So it doesn't have to do so much with whether or not that physician was competent, but do we like that person and how they interacted? Even more dramatic, Alex Todorov at Princeton has shown us that judgments of political candidates' faces in just 1 second predict 70% of US Senate and gubernatorial race outcomes. And even, let's go digital, emoticons used well in online negotiations can lead you to claim more value from that negotiation. If you use them poorly, bad idea, right? So So when we think of nonverbals, we think of how we judge others, how they judge us, and what the outcomes are. We tend to forget, though, the other audience that's influenced by our nonverbals, and that's ourselves. We are also influenced by our nonverbals, our thoughts and our feelings and our physiology. So what nonverbals am I talking about? I'm a social psychologist. I study prejudice, and I teach at a competitive business school. So it was inevitable that I would become interested in power dynamics. I became especially interested in nonverbal expressions of power and dominance. And what are nonverbal expressions of power and dominance? Well, this is what they are. So in the animal kingdom, they are about expanding. So you make yourself big, you stretch out, you take up space, you're basically opening up. It's about opening up. And this is true across the animal kingdom. It's not just limited to primates, and humans do the same thing. So they do this both when they have power sort of chronically, and also when they're feeling powerful in the moment. And this one is especially interesting because it really shows us how universal and old these expressions of power are. This expression, which is known as pride, Jessica Tracy has studied, she shows that people who are born with sight and people who are congenitally blind do this when they win at a physical competition. So when they cross the finish line and they won, it doesn't matter if they've never seen anyone do it, they do this. So the arms up in the V, the chin is slightly lifted. What do we do when we feel powerless? We do exactly the opposite. We close up, we wrap ourselves up, we make ourselves small. We don't want to bump into the person next to us. So again, both animals and humans do the same thing. And this is what happens when you put together high and low power. So what we tend to do when it comes to power is that we complement the other's nonverbals. So if someone's being really powerful with us, we tend to make ourselves smaller. We don't mirror them, we do the opposite of them. So I'm watching this behavior in the classroom, and what do I notice? I notice that MBA students really exhibit the full range of power nonverbal. So you have people who are like caricatures of alphas, like really coming into the room. They get right into the middle of the room before class even starts. Like they really want to occupy space. When they sit down, they're sort of spread out. They raise their hands like this. You have other people who are virtually collapsing when they come in. As soon as they come in, you see it. You see it on their faces and their bodies. And they sit in their chair and they make themselves tiny. And they go like this when they raise their hand. I noticed a couple of things about this. One, you're not going to be surprised. It seems to be related to gender. So women are much more likely to do this kind of thing than men. Women feel chronically less powerful than men, so this is not surprising. But the other thing I noticed is that it also seemed to be related to the extent to which the students were participating and how well they were participating. And this is really important in the MBA classroom because participation counts for half the grade. So business schools have been struggling with this gender grade gap. You get these equally qualified women and men coming in, and then you get these differences in grades, and it seems to be partly attributable to participation. So I started to wonder, okay, so you have these people coming in like this and they're participating. Is it possible that we could get people to fake it, and would it lead them to participate more? So my main collaborator, Dana Carney, who's at Berkeley, and I really wanted to know, can you fake it till you make it? Like, can you do this just for a little while and actually experience a behavioral outcome that makes you seem more powerful? So we know that our nonverbals govern how other people think and feel about us. There's a lot of evidence, but our question really was, do our nonverbals govern how we think and feel about ourselves? There's some evidence that they do. So, for example, when we smile when we feel happy, but also when we're forced to smile by holding a pen in our teeth like this, it makes us feel happy. So it goes both ways. When it comes to power, it also goes both ways. So when you feel powerful, you're more likely to do this, but it's also possible that when you pretend to be powerful, you are more likely to actually feel powerful. So the second question really was, so we know that our minds change our bodies. Is it also true that our bodies change our minds? And when I say minds, in the case of the powerful, what am I talking about? So I'm talking about thoughts, and feelings and the sort of physiological things that make up our thoughts and feelings. And in my case, that's hormones. I look at hormones. So what do the minds of the powerful versus the powerless look like? So powerful people tend to be, not surprisingly, more assertive and more confident, more optimistic. They actually feel that they're going to win even at games of chance. They also tend to be able to think more abstractly. So there are a lot of differences. They take more risks. There are a lot of differences between powerful and powerless people. Physiologically, there also are differences on two key hormones, testosterone, which is the dominance hormone, and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So what we find is that high power alpha males in primate hierarchies have high testosterone and low cortisol. And powerful and effective leaders also have high testosterone and low cortisol. So what does that mean? When you think about power, people tended to think only about testosterone because that was about dominance. But really, power is also about how you react to stress. So do you want the high power leader that's dominant, high on testosterone, but really stress reactive? Probably not, right? You want the person who's powerful and assertive and dominant, but not very stress reactive, the person who's laid back. So we know that in primate hierarchies, if an alpha needs to take over, if an individual needs to take over an alpha role sort of suddenly, within a few days, that individual's testosterone has gone up significantly and his cortisol has dropped significantly. So we have this evidence, both that the body can shape the mind, at least at the facial level, and also that role changes can shape the mind. So what happens, okay, you take a role change, what happens if you do that at a really minimal level, like this tiny manipulation, this tiny intervention? For 2 minutes, you say, I want you to stand like this, and it's going to make you feel more powerful. So this is what we did. We decided to bring people into the lab and run a little experiment. And these people adopted for 2 minutes either high power poses or low power poses. And I'm just going to show you 5 of the poses, although they took on only 2. So here's one, a couple more. This one has been dubbed the Wonder Woman by the media. Here are a couple more. So you can be standing or you can be sitting. And here are the low power poses. So you're folding up, you're making yourself small. This one is very low power. When you're touching your neck, you're really kind of protecting yourself. So this is what happens. They come in, they spit into a vial. We, for 2 minutes, say, you need to do this or this. They don't look at pictures of the poses. We don't want to prime them with the concept of power. We want them to be feeling power, right? So 2 minutes, they do this. We then ask them, how powerful do you feel on a series of items? And then we give them an opportunity to gamble. And then we take another saliva sample. That's it. That's the whole experiment. So this is what we find. Risk tolerance, which is the gambling. What we find is that when you're in the high power pose condition, 86% of you will gamble. When you're in the low power pose condition, only 60%. And that's a pretty whopping significant difference. Here's what we find on testosterone. From their baseline when they come in, high power people experience about a 20% increase, and low power people experience about a 10% decrease. So again, 2 minutes and you get these changes. Here's what you get on cortisol. High power people experience about a 25% decrease, and the low power people experience about a 15% increase. So 2 minutes lead to these hormonal changes that configure your brain to basically be either assertive, confident, and comfortable, or really stress reactive, and feeling sort of shut down. And we've all had that feeling, right? So it seems that our nonverbals do govern how we think and feel about ourselves. So it's not just others, but it's also ourselves. Also, our bodies change our minds.
Okay. So I'm going to bring us back because I've only got 3 minutes with you all. And so I just kind of want to wrap this up and summarize it. We don't have time to watch that whole video, but if you are interested in watching that video, I'll just put it in the chat. So hold on, everyone. So you can find it. It's a TED Talk, and her name is Amy Cuddy. It's called Power Posing. Okay, so you could always finish watching that. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because it might be a really great idea 2 minutes before your interview. It could even be up to like so let's say you have an interview. You're not going to just come start doing these things like in an interview, right? Where you can get big, which will change it'll higher your make your testosterone level higher and lower your cortisol. So it's what that does is makes you feel more powerful, more confident, and lowers your stress, right? So this is a great thing to do. So you might want to do that in your car before you go in, like 30 minutes before. Just do it for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is all it takes. Or maybe in the restroom before you go in, or maybe on the bus, whatever, out on the street before you go into that location where you're going to interview. So power posing, free tool, you always have it, and it's just about getting big. It can really help you with your confidence before you do anything that's stressful. So think about that. I like her research. I think it's pretty cool. And any questions before we wrap up? I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow at the college. If you've got a conflict with any of those times, I want you to send me a remind message, and then I will switch you around to a different time. Or if you have any like last minute questions, you can reach out to me or Tino. And I'm really look forward to seeing you all at the college tomorrow. Any just general questions?
So we're not logging into Zoom tomorrow, correct?
No Zooming tomorrow. We're all at the college. Yep. All at the college for whatever time your interview is. Does anybody
Have a good day.
Okay, you too. Does anybody need me to show that interview schedule again to see what time your interview is?
Is there any way you could? Are you going to send that to us actually, or is that'll be available on the video, I suppose?
Yeah, it's on the video, but I can pull it up really quick, Santino.
I'll just put it on my calendar. And by that, one question afterwards, will we have time after class tomorrow to complete other tasks or work?
Yeah, you can stay and work at the school for sure, for sure.
Excellent. That's all I really need to know for now, I think.
This is under sent. Let me look here. Yeah, the times for you guys tomorrow. Okay, here we go. So where are you? Santino. Okay, you're down here from 4 o'clock to 5. So if you need to come in early, so we will be closing the office at 5. So if you want to come in early, you can come in anytime before 4 o'clock.
Okay, sounds good. I'll probably try to get there around, probably, let's see who's at 2, around, say, Brian Simmons' time? I mean, and I'll just stick around early on to finish other tasks.
Yeah, come in early. We're going to be there at about 11:30. So the office will be
okay. Okay, perfect. See
you tomorrow. Oops.
Good.
Okay. Anybody else have questions?
When